Hey there Titans, in this video I'll show you how to create a table from an Apex class. Alright, so we have a Word document open here and we've already installed the Form Titan add-in for Word. Very simple to install. Just head over to Insert, get it in, search for Form Titan, install it, and you're ready to work. Alright, so what I will do here, I'm in the Form Titan add-in for Word and I'll click Insert Edit Table. We already know that we have great options with tables, so we can generate it directly from an object. Let's say we can get everything from the opportunity object, and it will just return opportunities into a table, and then you can get any fields you want from the opportunity. You can filter it by account ID, you can do it by case ID, whatever is related to your opportunity. You can run a condition and have it mapped to your table. You can also have a table created from a report or from a group report. As we know, sometimes we do have very, very complex objects that our only option is to run Apex. And for this reason, we're giving you the option to generate your table directly from an Apex class. All right, so let's take a look at what this does. So the only thing we've got to do here is give Titan an endpoint for our REST resource class in Salesforce, and we'll pass in the parameters. We'll get the results as a JSON, and that JSON will be mapped into a table. So let's take a look at our demonstration that I've prepared here. So we have two classes. The first class takes in an account ID as a parameter. So I created just a class for a request so we can serialize it nicely. You don't have to do it, just make everything clear. And we're taking, and you can have multiple parameters here. For this demonstration, I used one. So in our instance, I'm getting an account ID, dynamically grabbing all the fields for the opportunity. I just wanted to return all the fields from the opportunity. I'm grabbing all the opportunities that are related to this account ID and returning it into my response as a list. So if I'll head over to Workbench here, and I'll run a sample request. So let's say account ID equals to this account, Gene Point, then I get 3 opportunities back from my REST resource class. Let's take a look at the raw response. And here is all the fields for the opportunity. So let's do a quick demonstration here for this. So let's insert a field. And we'll say account. And let's map in the account ID. Let's map in the account name. And I'll insert a table. And we'll say your Apex. And let's give it the URL mapping. Okay, so let's get rid of this. And here we are. Let's give it a comment. And now what we need to do is we need to see what we are returning in the JSON. So for instance, we're returning the account name and stage name and amount. Let's just map these 3 back. So I'm going to call this name. This has to match the JSON name, and then we'll do stage name. And here we can say stage, and in the field for the amount we can say amount, and here we can call this opportunity amount. We'll generate the table. So we've inserted the table. And now let's click preview. So for this guy, let's run a filter, account ID equals, let's grab the Gene Point account. I'll save it, save the condition, and then for the REST resource, what we need to say is the name of the property that we're getting, the parameters. In our instance, it's the account ID. We need to say account ID equals either other, or in our instance, since we have the account ID already, we can say our first query dot account ID. save the parameter, and now if we hit preview, we will get our table generated directly from your Apex, which is absolutely amazing. Let's take a look at our other endpoint, and this one will give you maybe a little bit more ideas of how we can use this. Okay, so what I'm doing here is, again, I'm receiving an account ID as a parameter. I'm calling all the opportunities for this account ID, and then I'm doing a small aggregation for it. So I'm aggregating opportunity line items, pair the opportunities we got for the account, and then we're just aggregating the price, and we're counting how many products with discounts we have under these opportunities. Then I'm constructing my own response. So this method returns a list of the custom class response, which contains the opportunity name, opportunity stage, product average, and discount product count. And then we're just returning that list into whoever is requesting it. In our instance, the Titan worded in, and we'll be able to generate the table from that response. So let's first of all take a look at this class in Workbench. So again, I'm passing in an account ID for GenePoint. In this instance, I'm running the execute, and let's take a look at what we get back. So we see that the first one, product average, is null, since there are no products on that opportunity. And for the second one and third one, we can see some averages. So no discount on both of them, and we see the product average. Let's take a look at the raw response, and this is how this looks. So now, if we head back to our Word document, and let's add our table. Let me just and let's grab the URL endpoint for this. So, and I'll put it in just like so. Your Apex, put this guy in, and let's map in our fields. And again, it has to match our JSON, whatever we put in the field name. The label could be whatever you want. So let's say we want the opportunity name to be mapped first, and now the column name can be whatever you want. So this will be name. Then we have the opportunity stage, and that could be stage, and let's get the product average, and we can call this product amount average, and we can add another column for the discount product count, and we'll say discount product count, and we'll say products with discount. Insert the table, perfect. And let's take a look at our refresh our preview pane, and we'll click this guy, and again we have to pass in the parameter that we're expecting in our class. So in our instance, again, it's an account ID, and it could be multiple parameters, and then you just add them like so. So account ID, you can do static, put in your account ID. In our instance, we already have it from the first query, and we'll say account ID, save the parameter, click the preview button, and here is our table generated. Now, this gives you a lot of power, since now in your class you can decide what you want to return and what not. So let's say if we don't want to return any products that doesn't have any products under it, we don't want to return any opportunities with no products under it, we can just go to our class and just say here condition, for instance, we can say if our map, so we'll put in a new condition, we'll say if our map not contains key opportunity ID, then we can just continue. And if we'll deploy this and we'll run it again, now we will only get opportunities with products in them. So the only thing I gotta do now, I don't want to save this. I'm just gonna click the preview again. And now we got only 2 opportunities back since these contain products in them. So this is amazing. Now we can take this a step further and publish this into the Titan into the Titan form, and then we can use it within Salesforce, and then the sky is your limit. So we'll publish this into a new form, and we'll call this our Apex into a table. And I want to show you something here that many people miss, and we just missed right now. So whenever you create a filter for the preview, everything is great and that works for the preview. But whenever you publish, you have to create this filter again. So here the filter will look a little bit different. So we want to say account ID equals record ID. The record ID is a hidden that we will pass into the form, and that will create that condition. Next one up, we want to make sure that we're passing in the correct value. So what we need to pass here is our account ID parameter. So we will say account ID parameter equals, and again you can have multiple parameters over here, our first query, the account ID, or you can just go directly here to the record ID. It will work just the same. And in my instance, I'm just going to leave it like so, and I'll save the parameter, and I'll republish this to my existing form. So I'll hit override, and now let's go ahead and preview it on the form. So here is our new form that was created just now. And let's head over to document generation, word mapping, click configure, and we'll do preview before submit, auto preview, just so we can view it. And then let's make it render with the interactive mode. We'll hit apply, save, publish this guy. Now the only thing we gotta do is map in the record ID with the URL, so we can see that the field ID is FLD2. So if I'll put this guy over here and say FLD2 equals to my GenePoint account, and I'll run it, we'll give it a second to load, and here is our table mapped. And from here you can take it to be generated directly from Salesforce. So if we'll head back to the document generation, word mapping, we'll say Salesforce Apex or Salesforce button. So Apex will let you run it directly from a Apex class, so you can do it internally. You can run it from a process builder. We have videos for every single one of these. So from here your process stays the same. If we'll take a look at the button, so our main object is the account, and we'll map the ID, the record ID, to our record ID hidden. We'll hit apply, we'll save it, and we'll head over to my account. And you do want to make sure, obviously, you have the Form Titan package for Salesforce installed on your Salesforce organization, and that you head over to DocGen SSO and hit the save button before you do anything else. After that, we'll head over to the collaborators, and let's add my user and give it access to this document. So I'll click. You can also add profiles from Salesforce if you want to add a bunch of users at one go. Let's just add a single collaborator from Salesforce, and I'll say search users, and let's select my user here, and I'll hit next, and I'll say please give it submit permissions for our Apex into table. Hit apply. Now, once I head over to the account and I'll click FD generate document, I'll get our document directly here, and from here we can preview it directly and see what this document contains. We can also generate the document and then it will run all your pushes. We can send an email with the file attached, and we have specific videos for every single one of these actions you can run directly from here. So this is really, really powerful. And this is how it's done.